The Middle East is a tinderbox. Any spark can ignite a major conflagration. We are seeing this play out again today. The flashpoint is the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Israel has launched airstrikes in Gaza and Lebanon. These actions came in response to rocket attacks. This is the most serious violence in years. It has raised fears of a wider war. The situation is complex with many factors at play. At the heart is the struggle between Israel and the Palestinians. The Palestinians want their own independent state. They are frustrated by the lack of progress in peace negotiations. They see Israel's expansion of settlements as a major obstacle to peace. Adding fuel to the fire is Iran's involvement. Iran supports both Hamas and Hezbollah. It sees these groups as proxies against Israel. The current situation is extremely volatile. It is difficult to predict what will happen next. The stakes are very high. The entire region is holding its breath. The crisis was sparked by rocket attacks on Israel. Hamas fired hundreds of rockets into Israeli territory. These attacks targeted civilian areas, causing fear and panic. Israel responded with airstrikes on Gaza and Lebanon. The airstrikes caused widespread damage and civilian casualties. This cycle of violence will be difficult to break. The Gaza Strip is a densely populated coastal enclave. It is home to over 2 million Palestinians. Gaza has been under Israeli blockade for over 15 years. This has created a dire humanitarian situation there. The people of Gaza lack access to basic necessities like food, water, and medicine. Israel's airstrikes have made a bad situation much worse. They have destroyed homes, hospitals, and schools. They have crippled Gaza's already fragile infrastructure. The death toll in Gaza continues to rise. The vast majority of the casualties are civilians. The situation in Lebanon is also bleak. Israel's airstrikes have targeted areas in southern Lebanon controlled by Hezbollah. These airstrikes have also caused civilian casualties and widespread damage. The humanitarian crisis in both Gaza and Lebanon is growing by the day. International aid organizations are struggling to provide relief to those in need. The situation is desperate. Section 4. The world reacts. The international community has condemned the violence in Gaza and Lebanon. The United Nations has called for an immediate ceasefire. It has urged both sides to show restraint and to protect civilians. The United States, Israel's closest ally, has expressed support for Israel's right to defend itself. However, the U.S. has also called on Israel to avoid civilian casualties. Many countries have criticized Israel for its use of disproportionate force. They argue that Israel's actions are only making the situation worse. There have been large protests around the world against the violence. Protesters are calling for an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories. They are demanding that the international community do more to protect Palestinian civilians. The violence in Gaza and Lebanon has also sparked a wave of anti-Semitism around the world. Jewish communities in Europe and North America have reported an increase in hate crimes and harassment. Section 5. A region on edge. The current crisis is having a ripple effect throughout the Middle East. The region is already grappling with multiple conflicts and crises. The violence in Gaza and Lebanon is adding to the instability. There are concerns that the conflict could spread to other countries. Iran has threatened to retaliate if Israel attacks its territory. Hezbollah has also threatened to open a new front against Israel from Lebanon. The conflict is also exacerbating tensions between different religious and ethnic groups in the region. There have been reports of sectarian violence in Lebanon and Iraq. The economic impact of the conflict is also being felt throughout the region. Tourism, a major source of revenue for many countries in the Middle East, has been hit hard. The cost of oil has also risen sharply. The current crisis is a major setback for the Middle East. It is a reminder of the deep divisions and the unresolved conflicts that plague the region. Section 6. Finding a way out. The situation in Gaza and Lebanon is dire. However, it is not hopeless. There are steps that can be taken to end the violence and to address the underlying causes of the conflict. The first priority must be an immediate ceasefire. The international community must put pressure on both sides to stop fighting. Once a ceasefire is in place, negotiations must begin. These negotiations must address the root causes of the conflict, including the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories. The international community must also provide humanitarian assistance to those in need. The people of Gaza and Lebanon are suffering. They need food, water, medicine, and shelter. Finding a lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict will be difficult. However, it is not impossible. It will require courage, compromise, and a commitment to peace from all sides. It will also require the active involvement of the international community. The stakes are high. The future of the Middle East may depend on it.